Hello there, and welcome to yet another tier maker video from me, Dan, who is square base obsessed. Um, this one's about combat characters. It was actually quite difficult to put together all of these characters, really, because in some factions it's quite difficult to work out whether. So I'm going to split it into combat characters and support characters. So, for instance, like one of the key challenges in terms of working out whether which side of the fence a character's on, for instance, witch hunters and warrior priests. I've included witch hunters in the combat characters here. However, they arguably could just be support, whereas warrior priests I've left as support. So I, I don't know. I mean, comment down below. See what you think about whether I've missed them or not. I'll go through all the characters. We've also got some named characters as well, so we'll be talking about the Cetra as well at some point. But we'll probably save that to the end. So let's just drift through all the books, and we'll rank stuff as we go. Just a bit of an explainer. Essentially, S means you're pretty much guaranteed to get your points back. Excellent, all round, brilliant. A is you're likely to, more than 50% chance you're going to get your points back. You know, pretty good character. B is it's just good. You might get your points back. C is you probably won't. And D is you almost certainly total trash. Don't take. So let's have a look at ogres first. So ogres really only have one combat character because the others are kind of support. So Firebelly's a wizard, a hunter's basically a shooter that makes saber tusks better, and these are wizards. Although arguably could be the Slaughtermaster, especially with a cauldron, gets D3+1 impact hits at strength 4, which is pretty good. But you've got the tyrannical overlords, which is a tyrant and a bruiser. Bruiser's the battle standard bearer option, tyrant's the fighting option. These are pretty good. Toughness 5, 5 wounds. You can give it heavy armor, so it's got a 5-up save. There's other stuff you can give it that make them pretty good. They've got 2 impact hits, and they have bull charge, so it's got 2 impact hits, strength 5, AP1, which is excellent in a unit of ogres. I think on foot in a unit of ogres is best because movement 6 isn't that slow. It's still okay. And you can give them big names as well, and one of which is just fantastic, which is Kin Eater or something. Yeah, Kin Eater. May reroll failed panic or rally tests within command range, and that's the general only. So for your general, like having a sort of secondary BSB is really really good. And also I think he's got, has it got, oh, he hasn't got rallying cry, so yeah, that makes sense really. So yeah, tyrannical overlords, good value, I think. Leadership 9 is pretty high, just in general, to be honest. So these are pretty good. I'd say if you put it in a unit of ogres, the unit of ogre bulls is kind of ablative armor. They might do a bit of damage, probably not. However, the tyrant almost certainly will, especially if you give it like a great weapon and just like, yeah. So they're very good. Probably get your points back. I don't know where I've put him. Where is the ogre? There he is. There's the tyrant. I think pretty good. Not, yeah. You might get your points back. Like this is say this is like less than a third chance. This is like a third to 2/3, 2/3 chance. 100% getting your points back. That kind of thing. That's what I'm thinking in my head. So I think it's kind of like it's middling. It's middling. This guy, but he's got some really good stats. But as you'll see from other rosters, actually, they're not that good compared with other characters. So that's the ogres. Vampire counts. Now, vampire counts have a few characters that are good in combat or combat style. So we've got vampires. You know, there's your toughness 5. These you can easily get up to a 2-up save. Well, not easily. You have to take magic items to do it because you can only take heavy armor. So standard profiles like a 4-up in combat, you can get it up to 3. You put it on a mount, you can get it up to 2. You can make them wizards and then put them on a zombie dragon. So you've then got your 4-up save from the zombie dragon and like a level 2 wizard. You can make it level 3 as well through one of these vampiric powers. So that's pretty good. You can give it 4 spells because they're allowed a spell familiar as well. So again, you can make them decent casters. They're very good in combat already, and actually there's some pretty decent magic weapons for them. The BSB ability in particular is fantastic because friendly units may reroll failed leadership tests. Remember, resurrecting stuff, Invocation of Nehek, is a leadership check, so being able to reroll that is key, and also reducing the number of lost wounds by unstable by D3 is also excellent. And you can put your vampire thrall on like a coven throne, which gives them, I don't know, like 7 wounds, a 4-up save, and you give it the BSB then, and because it's a large target, it's got an 18-inch aura on BSB. So there's loads of stuff you can do with vampires. They are very, very good. They're very, very flexible. I really like them. And where am I going to put them? I think they're A tier. You're more likely than not to get your points back with them, whatever you take. So pardon me, sneezing again. So yeah, they're good. The next one is the Strigoi Ghoul King, which is just slightly better in combat, has more attacks, has just hand weapons, needs to take magic weapons if it's going to do something cool. Maybe mounted. I mean, if you're going to take one, you're probably taking it on a Terrorgeist, maybe. Although maybe you want like a sort of a Strigoi Ghoul Horde army, so you could have a few of these at like 200 points each. Or like 200, 250 in like a unit of ghouls. If you really, it wouldn't be a very good list, but you could do that. They do have poisoned attacks, which is pretty cool. They can heal themselves, but like it's unlikely, and then it like makes the pursuit roll less good, which is not great really, and it's only a 1 in 6 chance, so they're not fantastic. They're okay on a Terrorgeist because it allows you to take an extra Terrorgeist really, but if you wanted to get another Terrorgeist but have it in your hero section, Strigoi Ghoul King's how you do it really. So they're not good. They're not. I wouldn't imagine they'll be brilliant at getting their points back. So they're kind of not so good, really. The model's fantastic, but they're okay. They're okay. They're not they're not great. Did I put a Kenwraith in here? I can't remember. I've got the White King. Kenwraith I've got. Did I put the Banshee? No, so Kenwraith, White King. Cool. Where are we? Vampire counts. So Kenwraiths are ethereal. So toughness 3 isn't really a problem because you can't hurt them unless you're using magical attacks. Spectral Scythe, although they only have 2 attacks, this hits at strength 3, which again isn't great. However, it is effectively AP 5 and does multiple wounds D3. So it's also terrifying as well. So it's a really interesting prospect for a cheap sort of 50-point lone character, because it's ethereal. It can only join ethereal units, and you know there aren't any that it can actually join, which is a bit annoying. You used to be able to take Ken Wraiths in units, which was pretty cool. Now you can't, but they are pretty good. I think this would be better off as like a rare unit choice, like them being 50 points each. You could take a unit of them. As it stands, single standalone, like it's unlikely to get its points back. It's not total trash, but it's very close to being trash. They're just not good. Whites are a gateway character. You need to take whites in order to take Black Knights or Graveguard. So you're allowed to take one unit of Black Knights or Graveguard per white king / lord. White lords are cheap enough that that's not a problem. You just gain an extra unit champion, basically. You can give them the Battle Standard Bearer, which is exactly the same rule as the one for the Vampire Battle Standard Bearer, so it's the same. So if you did want to take some Black Knights, you could take a white with a BSB, for instance. You can't put it on a large target, so you don't get the 18-inch aura. However, you know, they're toughness 5, which is good. You can get them up to a 3-up save, 2-up, and a push with magic artifacts. And they're just generally okay. They're not expensive, so again, they're fairly likely to get their points back. I'd say they go there. Yeah, cool. Happy with that. I think that's the vampire counts, isn't it? Yep. So moving on, let's have a look at Skaven. Skaven again are in a difficult position. So they've got these commanders, which can't be mounted. They can get up to a 4-up save, 3-up with a bit of luck and a few magical stuff. They have Verminous Valor, which is pretty cool. So in a challenge, they can retreat to the back of the unit, and you still get to use their leadership. Leadership being 7 with Warband means basically the unit that you're in is probably going to be leadership 10 if it's got a warlord in it, or 9 if it's got a chieftain in it, which is again very good. And they've got Warpstone weapons. I don't know what Warpstone weapons do. What do Warpstone weapons do? Presumably make them magical. Magic and AP 1. So it's decent inbuilt, whatever. They can take magic weapons and stuff. They're just stat lines not great. 3 runes, toughness 4, 4-up save. But they are quite cheap. Will they get their points back? It's possible, isn't it? It's possible. I'd say, in general, probably, yeah. So they're kind of middle of the road. Probably slightly. They're okay. The problem is like the magic weapons and stuff that you get for Skaven. There's not. So you've got the really cool Fellblade, which was to kill, Nagash, and that would make him like strength 7. Multiple wounds D3, no armor, ward or regen saves. However, there's a 1 in 3 chance of losing a wound every single command subphase. It doesn't have strikes first either, so you're going to be lucky to be able to use it. That's the problem. So yeah, and then like the armor and stuff. There's nothing in here really that's -1 to hit in shooting for 40 points is quite expensive for that ability. 4+ ward save against non-magical attacks is okay, but it's just non-magical. Yeah, I mean, Skaven Brew's okay because you can make your unit frenzied, which gives more attacks, obviously, and immune psychology. So if you want to charge into that fear-causing unit, and you want an extra attack. So Skaven Brew's quite useful, but like, yeah, it's probably they're okay, which is a shame because I love Skaven. I think they're great, but it's just not very good. Then Skaven also have some support stuff. Then they have Master Assassins. Plague Priests I've put as support because they're wizards. So Master Assassins are, if only that was 100 points and you could give it Fellblade, because that would be fantastic. You can bring Gutter Runners on around your Master Assassin, so they have a bit of utility there. They've got Weapon Skill 8, which is like, I think, the best native weapon skill in the game, which is, excellent. They're brilliant in combat. They've got really high initiative. They're only strength and toughness 4, and they have no armor. So, a decent unit champion can kill a Master Assassin, no problem. And they don't have strike first like the Dark Elf Assassin. The Dark Elf Assassin has poisons and stuff, and if you just compare the two, like, where is it? Dark Elf K-Knight Assassins are like 10 points cheaper and arguably better. So I guess Master Assassins, I might even be putting them in the trash, to be honest. I just don't see the use case for them, really. Apart from bringing Gutter Runners on, like, up the table, but then that's not them getting their points back. They're going to have to, they're not going to get their points back, basically. It's just not going to happen. Cool, so that's Skaven. Stuff is not very good. Chaos Dwarves have a couple of cool things. So the main character really is the sorcerer, demon smith sort of thing, because they allow you to reroll engineering stuff as well, and you're going to have war machines, and you can make it a level 4 wizard. It's a level 4 wizard engineer, which is fantastic. But you have these Infernal Guard commanders. They've got Black Shard armor and sorcerer's weapons. Rallying Cry, which is quite good. Resolute and Stubborn. Resolute is less. Black Shard armor gives you a 5 at ward against flaming or something like that. So they're okay. They're like a dwarf lord, and they're allowed 100 points of like magic stuff, and the magic stuff here, is okay. It's pretty good. Although you're not going to see a lot of Castellans, you'll see a lot of Seneschals being Battle Standard Bearer. Will you? That's not an option. Hold on a minute. Who can be a Battle Standard Bearer? Infernal Seneschal, yeah. So you'll see a few Seneschals as Battle Standard Bearer maybe, but other than that, they're not great. They're okay. I guess, yeah, they're okay. There's nothing really to write home about them. Where are they? I can't find him for now. Oh, it's a really weird old miniature. It's this one, isn't it? Then you got the Bull Centered Toruk. Arguably, the Bull Centaurs are better, and you don't really need one, but they are quite cool. Toughness 5, 4 wounds, heavy armor, and armored hide. So they've got a 4-up save, which is nice. They've got those ensorcelled weapons, plus armor bane 1. So they're AP 1, armor bane 1. That's just a hand weapon. You can give them great weapon, or a Dark Forge weapon, which is a weapon with a random attack. It's bonus, so like one's poisoned, one's more AP, blah blah blah. So they're unreliable basically. They do D3 plus 1 impact hits, which is nice because it's strength 5. D3 plus 1 strength 5 hits is pretty nice. Yeah, so they're pretty good. Are they going to get the points back? Probably. I'd say they're in the middle category, aren't they? Where was it? Is that the centaur? Where's the bull centaur one? There he is. Model's great as well. Arguably, yeah, better than that. Not as good as that. Yeah, yeah, okay. Right. Moving on. Moving on. And then the Hobgoblin Khan's more of a support. Yeah, so that's Chaos Dwarves done. Dark Elves, we've talked about the K-Knight Assassin, we've already had a look at. I mean, K-Knight Assassin, again, I think they're okay. The problem is the lack of armour, toughness 3, like, they get taken out so quickly. They do have strike first, and you can give it killing blow. So actually, what they do is they appear, they're pretty good at just appearing, challenging a unit champion, and basically taking it down. So you give it an additional hand weapon, obviously. You give it Dark Venom, probably, to give it killing blow. Do you give it an extra hand weapon? Because Murderous is reroll ones to hit, isn't it? Or something like that. I can't remember the rule off the top of my head. Murderous is reroll to wound of 1. Single non-magical hand weapon. I mean, you might want to do that. I don't know. Because 3 attacks. No, you'd want more attacks, wouldn't you? I don't know. That presents a quandary, really, doesn't it? But then you're up to, like, where are you up to? 98 points, so you're 100 points down. You know, you need to kill quite a few unit champions, and the problem is it's infantry. It is strikes first, though, so, like, if somebody charges you with, like, their cavalry, you're hitting them at initiative 10. So you might take out their champion before they've had a chance to swing. So they're okay, I think, but that's only if you're taking an infantry heavy army, and infantry aren't very good at the moment. I think they've got a reasonable chance of getting their points back. Yeah, let's put that. I'm not. I want a B and a half tier. I want it in between, really. So I'll put it at the bottom of B. The Dark Elves also have Death Hags. These are awful. Witch Elves in general are awful because they have absolutely no save. So toughness 3, no save, 70 points. Like, you can put it on a Cauldron of Blood, which makes it okay. You can, it's got Witch Brew and all this kind of stuff. So you can upgrade it to make it okay, to maybe even good. But the problem is you need a load of bloody Witch Elves and to push it along because it's a loner. So, actually, do you? I'm not sure that you do. But anyway, so Witch Elves, they're just, they're okay, but toughness 3, no armor save is absolutely killer, and they haven't got any ward save, which is, a little odd. And even if you do give it a Cauldron of Blood, you can give it a ward save with the Blood Shield, so you kind of need a Cauldron of Blood to give it this model on every within command range. So I guess if you had a Hag army, you could. But then again, it would be toughness 5. What would it be? 8 wounds, 4 up save, 5 up ward. It's like 12. Yeah, which is okay, I guess, to slightly good. Let's put them there. They're probably better than assassins, but not really by much. I feel like I'm going very low bar with this, really. And then you've got finally you've got the Dreadlord, which goes on a dragon and does cool stuff. So yeah, Dreadlord's very good. You're probably going to get your points back with him because you're probably going to put him on a dragon, to be honest. But even if not, you know, they're still pretty good and they've still got quite a lot of utility. Magic weapons that they can, magic stuff that they can access is pretty good as well. So yeah, they're quite good. There it is. So I think they're still B tier, but they're the other end of B tier. Right, so that's the Dark Elves. Then we've got Demons. Now, the Heralds have all, you know, much of a muchness, really. So the Demonic Herald of Khorne has inbuilt Furious. In fact, all Khorne seem to have Furious Charge. She's got 4 attacks on the charge. She's got Impetuous, which is a bit of a downside. Strength +1 on the charge because that's what Khorne does. So it's Strength 6, which is nice. It's got a Hellblade, which gives it cleaving attacks automatically, which again is pretty good. And then the upgrades that you can give it, you know, can you make it good with Khorne upgrades? Well, you can allow it to try and dispel stuff. You can give it a 5-up ward all the time because Demonic Ward doesn't work against magical, I think. You can improve magic resistance, you know, which, you know, isn't great. I mean, is it going to get its points back? No, it's okay, isn't it? Khorne, okay. Next is, I think, Nurgle. So the Herald of Nurgle has more toughness and more points. You can put them on a palanquin, which you'll probably do. Palanquin basically gives it another 4 wounds, so you go up to 6 wounds, which is pretty good. And it gets a load of poisoned attacks on top, which again is pretty good. You can give it a level 2 wizard, which again, nice. You're now up to 195 points though on a palanquin and a level 2 wizard. So that seems to be quite expensive. Death's heads are great, like throwing weapons. They're pretty decent. So, yeah, I think the Nurgle one, and also the cool thing about the Nurgle demons and the Slanesh ones to an extent as well, is you've got all these like Sloppy Barpipers here. So you can have your Sloppy Barpiper, and that gives +1 move to Nurgle stuff, which is pretty useful. You can have a Spoilpox Shrivener, which is, you know, reroll hit rolls of 1, which is, again, pretty decent. You can give it a Stream of Contagion, which is funny. So just this massive vomit. Yeah, so you can be fairly, and actually these are not bad abilities. +1 move, reroll hit rolls of 1. These are, you know, these are good things. So I think in general it'll probably get its points back. It's here. It's not as good as a white, but still good. Still, you know, yeah, it's good. Then you've got Demons of Slanesh, which, you know, will have, I mean, they've got an okay stat line. They're not the best, really, are they? Better weapon skill, and obviously they've got extra attacks because of snips. The thing that you can do, oh, pardon me, is give it. You can take an Infernal Enrapturous. So friendly Slanesh demons get +1 to cast. Enemies are -1 to cast within command range. So that's a pretty good thing for a battle standard bearer to have, to be honest. But yeah, so I mean, again, they're pretty decent, but not that good. I think they're probably weaker than Nurgle. They're not going to get their points back, are they? probably about on par with Khorne, to be honest. And then the Tzeentch ones, like, I'm gonna actually put in trash. And the reason for that, they're not that trashy. So the reason for that is that you don't need them. Like, they're totally redundant in the list. What's the magic? You don't need them in the Tzeentch list because you've got your burning chariots. So you've got basically 2 burning chariots. So you have great, great movement, great, they can be level 3 wizards. Your herald can be a level 3 wizard as well, and you can put them on a burning chariot, which is pretty cool. But like, you just want a burning chariot more than anything. I mean, I guess a herald does allow you to take 3 burning chariots or more in a list, which is pretty decent. But they're just not very good in general. Like toughness 3, no armor, only 2 wounds, low weapon skill, low ballistics. Well, decent ballistic skill, but like, yeah. I mean, I guess they are more support characters than combat characters, so I've probably put them in the same list. But they are just so redundant. You just don't need them. So that's why they're in trash. Just don't take, because there's much better options elsewhere in the roster. Demon Prince. Now, Demon Prince features in Slaves to Darkness and in Warriors of Chaos, and in Demons. It more or less has the same role. It's good. It probably will get its points back, but it's probably about on par with the Tyrant. Like, the profile's pretty good. You can make them wizards because you can give them fly as well. So they have 360. They've got quite a lot of attacks. They're quite high strength and toughness. There's quite a bit you can do to make them good. They're way better in Warriors of Chaos because you've got access to all the magic items, whereas in Demons you've only got access to demonic gifts. So in Demons they're probably C, and in Chaos they're possibly A tier. But that's that. Lizardmen have, like, so you've got your Old Blood and Scar Veteran. Nothing particularly. I mean, they've got Furious Charge. They get +1 attack on the charge. So six attacks is not to be sniffed at all. They've got Rallying Cry, which is pretty useful. They've got Cold Blooded, which isn't as useful as it used to be. You could put them on a Carnosaur. I think they're very good, and especially on a Carnosaur or something, they're probably going to get their points back. Even actually on foot in a unit, they're probably going to get their points back because they are tough. They're difficult to deal with. So, yeah, I'm going to put them down here. They're better than a Dark Elf. Yeah, about there. They're very good. They're good. They're not very good. Yeah. Cool. The other Lizardman option is the Skink Chief, which is different to a Skink Priest. Why they've put these 2 heroes together, I don't know. Now, quite often you see them on like a little pterodon and just sort of floating about and doing some stuff. Apparently, like, they can be pretty good. If they're on like a little pterodon, they get like reserve move and all the stuff that pterodons get. Oh, pterodons don't get Vanguard. But anyway, you get like Fly 10 and all this other cool stuff. And an Armoured Hide 1, and its toughness +1 and +1 wound, which for a skink is pretty good. So he's up to toughness 4, 3 wounds, and he's got a 5-up save from this. And you can give him a shield, which gives him, which is, for the points, it's, that'd be 90, 100 points. I have heard people who've taken these sorts of things to tournaments, and like the Skink Pterodon hero has been like the man in the match because it basically just gets ignored by the opponent, because they're not quick enough to catch it, and you know, it doesn't look on the face of it like it poses that much of a threat, but actually, you know, it can do. So that's why I've taken the Pterodon model, and I'm gonna put it in good. I'm gonna make it better than a Shartok. No, that's not a Shartok. What the hell are they called? Tauruk. So it's better than that, but not quite as good as that. Yeah, happy with that. Okay, so that's Lizard Men. Lizard Men. Let's do... So the High Elves are very simple. They've only really got one combat hero. That's the High Elf Prince. The High Elf Prince has access to an amazing panoply of dragons. The High Elf Noble is okay, with Toughness 3 being a particular weakness. So they're good because they can get access to dragons. In fact, they're very good because they've got access to dragons. Even without actually, Strikes First is a mega ability. Do you know what? I'm just going to put the Wood Elf and one in here. Where did I put the Dark Elf Lord? Where did I put the Dark Elf Lords? I'll put them there because of access to... Yeah, to be honest, the Wood Elves and the High Elves have better magic items, so that puts them... That makes them better able to... So, like, the High Elves have, like, a regen and a ward save, which is, you know, excellent. The Wood Elves have stuff that basically turns off your opponent's strength bonuses and stuff like that, which is great. But that said, the Dark Elf Dragon is the best dragon in the game, so we're including, like, an idea about what their mounts are like. I think possibly the High Elves are better. There we go. Yeah. Wood Elves, not so good. Because they're a bit less sort of punchy. They're a bit more supporty, if that makes sense. So that's the High Elves. The Wood Elves we've talked about. Now, one thing we haven't talked about is the Shadow Dancer, which is this thing. So, Weapon Skill 8, again, one of the best. This is basically like the Wood Elf version of an assassin. However, they go into dances of Lurk, which is the Shadow Dancers. So, it goes in a unit of War Dancers, basically. And what that means is you can, at the start of combat phase... Oh, these all strike first, by the way, War Dancers and Shadow Dancers, which is a great ability. They can either go AP2, which is good, extra attack. Bearing in mind they've all got additional hand weapons anyway, extra attack is good. 4 up ward, or -1 to hit. So, you know, if you're up against skeletons who are like weapon skill 2, you might want to go -1 to hit, which means they're now hitting you on 6s. If you're up against something that's, you know, like you've been charged by some chosen, you might want to go for the 4 at ward save. You know, Storm of Blades, if you've been charged by some other cavalry, you might go for this to try and burn them down. Like Orc Bull Boys, for instance, that'd be quite effective against. And then Whirling Death might be effective against stuff like Empire Knights, which might be in full play. So they're pretty good. Do they recover their points? I mean, I'm not sure because they don't really have any save against shooting. Well, they have talismanic tattoos, don't they? Which are like 6 at ward, which is something, I guess. But they're just not. They're not very well protected. So they are very good though. I do like them. Probably there. Yeah, actually there. There's. They're probably better than an Old Blood. Ah, but Old Blood can take Carnosaur. No, that goes there. Right. Moving on to the Dwarf Lords. You've got the Dwarf King and Thane. Leadership 10 is amazing. Toughness 5, 3 wounds. You can then put them on a shield bearer thing, so it becomes 6 wounds and it gets a few more attacks, which is pretty good. Yep. And... you know, it hates all enemy characters. You can stick it in some hammerers. You know, that makes them hate all enemy characters as well. So, You can stick him on a Oath Stone, which is pretty good for a Thane sometimes, because Oath Stone means that you don't have to take panic tests. But you can't choose to flee, so if you're in like a combat-y sort of unit with a BSB, that's pretty good. So they're pretty good in general. They'll probably get their points back over the course of, possibly get their points back out, but they are a bit flaky and they can die quite quickly. So yeah, I guess, where the hell is it? Oh, there they are. There's the dwarves. So I think probably there. I think actually. Maybe up there. You can give it toughness 10 as well, which is pretty cool. So you can make them an absolute nightmare to deal with. But again, you're very expensive at that point, and you might not get your points back. Then the only other combat characters are the Slayers, which are at the moment trash, because they don't have any saves at all. They don't strike first. They don't have any save. Yes, they've got high toughness, but it only takes a few sixes, and then, you know, das ist kaputt. They are pretty good against giants and stuff, and dragons and so on, but they've, you know, if your opponent's got strike first, they're just going to kill you. So, even if you charge them. So, it's not, you know, that's not great. So, Slayers, I'm afraid, are going to have to go in trash for now. However, the book is coming out soon. The Dwarf book is coming out soon. So, oh, that's my Slayer King, isn't it? Oh, maybe not trash. But bottom of C, they're okay, but they just die far too easily. Although, you know, they can cause significant problems, like a little Slayer hero. Basically allowed, last time I played dwarves, the penultimate time I played dwarves, allowed me to in fact got him the draw instead of him losing the game because of one bloody dwarf Slayer hero. So, you know, that having that unbreakable thing just to kind of act as a roadblock actually is quite good sometimes, but that doesn't mean he gets his points back though. So that's dwarves. Let's do Empire now. Empire, you've got these commanders of the Empire. So automatically passing panic tests is okay. Rallying cry is good. They're quite cheap for what they are. They're, you know, they're pretty middle of the road. They're about as middle of the road as you're going to get. So for their cost, I think they're probably on par with White Kings, to be honest. Then you've got Grand Masters, which are a bit better, probably on par with Tauruks. And the reason for that is basically you can take more magic weapons. They make your unit of knights immune to psychology, which is, you know, pretty good. And they've got counter charge and all this stuff. They've got all the rules that you'd expect. So they're very good. Strength and toughness 4. Did the commander have strength and toughness 4? They do have strength and toughness 4. Strength and toughness 4 is okay. And of course, getting them up to a 2-up save is a doddle. 145 points is quite a lot, but they are pretty decent profile. Now, the Witch Hunter, I've put the Witch Hunter in the combat. Arguably it's supporty, but whatever. So each Witch Hunter must have one of these specialisms. So Witch Hunter and any unit they have joined gets whatever the effect is. Chosen when writing your muster list. So magic resistance, hatred wizards and magic resistance 2. You know, that's okay. Hatred undead flaming, okay. Hatred warriors and beasts, magic resistance 1. Alright. Hatred demons and magical attacks. Now, none of these are great. I mean, magic resistance 2 and hatred wizards. You commonly come across wizards, and, you know, so this one's, the witch is good. The others, not so good, really. They do have Killing Blow, but they've only got 2 attacks, so you can give it an additional hand weapon. But I think because of that, all this sort of stuff, you can mount them as well. So you could put it on a horse and stuff it in a unit of like White Wolves or something, with a warrior priest of Ulrich, and give it magic resistance 2. Magic resistance stacks, by the way. So like a warrior priest has magic resistance 1, so that'd be magic resistance 3 in total, which is great. Plus D3 to charges, which again is pretty good. You can make them defensive, whatever. Or these are pretty good as well. So, I think in a unit with like a warrior priest, they can get quite good. And they are cheap, so they're, I guess, I guess, I don't know. They're not very good though. They're just okay. Where the hell are they? I think it is that one, isn't it? I guess I'm going to put it there, because it's unlikely to get, even though they're quite cheap, they're still unlikely to get their points back unless they like roll very well and they're in the right situation, and so they need a lot to go right in order to get their points back. So they're not very good. Then Kingdom of Bretonia, we will have a look at the standard. We'll do the name characters and stuff in the journals at the end. So the Duke is fantastic, wonderful character, possibly S tier. Now, the reason I'm saying that is we're looking at the character in isolation. So you can, well, not in isolation, we're including possible mounts and stuff like that. I think for the cost, right, of putting a Duke on a Royal Pegasus, giving it Killing Blow, Monster Slayer, and a Lance, or giving it Heroic Virtue and the Sword of More Damage, whatever it's called. Can't remember. Hold on a sec. I shall find out. There is a magic item. So you could give it like the Sword of Morning Star Africa, or Sword of the Quest. With that would be pretty horrible. I think there's a magic weapon in the Arcane Journal. Is that the one that I'm thinking of? No, I don't know what. Oh, maybe Ogre Blade is what I'm thinking of. But anyway, yeah. I mean, there's so much you can do with a Bretonian character. One of them you can upgrade to be a Battle Standard Bearer for free, because that's how Bretonia works. They're just all round very good, and they're almost certainly going to get their points back. It's almost guaranteed, because you can make them so tough. Like your Duke, you can get up to a 2-up save. He's probably getting a 5-up save from the praying anyway. 5-up ward, sorry, from the blessings of the lady. The Duke has the Grail vow anyway, so pretty much always benefits from the blessing, whether you pray or not. It's got Rallying Cry, which again is quite a useful ability. I mean, I just think that they're just so good in general. Like they're so well balanced, but like you compare these to, like you just compare this right to the stat line of the Grand Master, right? This has another wound. Do you know what I mean? They're just so much better for actually not that much more points. So, they're very good. Sergeant at Arms, on the other hand, I know when I looked at Bretonia the first time around, I thought it was all right. I mean, 45 points, you're not going to get those points back. You're literally taking it for this ability. So, levies, makes a unit of like levies a bit better, but they're really only useful in the Outcast, in the Border Princes style stuff. So, you know, but other than that, they're kind of down here. They're kind of Claw Lord sort of rank, that kind of thing. Right, and then that's all the good guys done. Evils. Right, let's do Tomb Kings because we're on it. They've really only got one combat hero. The Royal Herald, yes, that's a banner. So you've got a Tomb King, Tomb Prince. Tomb King and Tomb Prince are, again, another very good unit. So Tomb King you can put on a dragon, you know, which is pretty good. Tomb Prince, you're probably not going to see a lot of them, if I'm being honest. But the magic items that you've got for the Monarchs of Neokara are excellent. Armor save is a bit weak, so like 3 up is probably the best you're going to get. Can you even get 2 up with them? I don't think you can. But you can do reroll, you know, wounds and stuff like that. So there is stuff you can do. Yeah. How do you get to 3 up? I suppose I don't know how you get to 3 up. My Will Be Done is an excellent ability. So plus D3 movement, plus 1. Plus D3 movement is just absolutely fantastic, especially on like a dragon. Because like, you know, you could get up to fly 12 and then you're charging 9. So like 21-inch threat range is just nuts. So they're just absolutely fantastic. They're not, I wouldn't say they're as good as, they're about up there with vampire counts, to be honest. I nearly put Cetra up there. So I put them just behind the vampires. They're about on par with them, ironically. But then that's it for them. Beastmen have Beast Lord and a Wargore. These are okay. They're pretty good. In the, if you've got a lot of ambushes, this Brayhorn ability can be quite good. But that's the general only, which is annoying that it's general only, not Beast Lord only. So you got to take a Beast Lord and make it your general in order to do that. But then, you know, it does become quite reliable. Gaze of the Gods is a massively underpointed. What are you doing? It's a massively underpointed ability because essentially it gives you the ability to get a free magic item every single turn. The downside being that you can go stupid, and I've played enough games with my Warriors of Chaos to know that stupidity is way worse than most people think it is, because you always seem to fail your leadership tests when you really need to make a charge. It's an excellent thing, but it's also not. The other thing that Beastmen can't do, and this is why they're not so good, is they don't. So Warriors of Chaos have like a way of re-rolling that Eye of the Gods thing, so making stupidity way less likely. Still happens though. I've rolled double 1 before. So I don't know where I'm going to put them. I'm going to put them C tier. You can put them on a chariot, but I'm going to put them C tier. Where the hell? There's the Beast Lord. Yeah, next to... No, they're better than that. They're probably about as... Actually, I'll put them there. They're probably about as good as a White Lord. White Lord, White King. That's a good benchmark, I think, actually. Yeah. Centaur Chieftains are totally unnecessary. Centaurs aren't good enough that you'd need to put a character in them to make them, you know, better. Like, it doesn't turn them into an effective unit by putting a Centaur Chieftain in. I mean, are they useful on their own? I mean, I guess maybe 75 points for a little... Or 70, you'd want to give it a great weapon probably, and then heavy armor and a shield, or maybe cavalry spear because it'd be strength 6 AP 1. Yeah, I guess is like something to clear off like cheapish screens on their own. They could be good. They could get their points back. So I think they're not C. They probably are C tier. They're probably top of C tier. They're better than Strigoi. Yeah, not quite as good as an assassin. Although Swift Stride is quite good. Yeah, they're probably there. It's getting difficult now. Minotaurs, on the other hand, total S tier. They're just absolutely fantastic. Like, Minotaurs Lords are like some of the best characters in the game, right? So you got Doom Ball, it's 210 point. I'm going to read you through everything that's on it. Whilst this model is frenzied, any unit it has joined will also become frenzied. Okay? So you can put it in some Ungors and it will frenzy the Ungors, right? And to those, there's a bit of confusion about characters joining units. So monstrous infantry characters can join other units. It's basically you can't join monstrous infantry if you're not monstrous infantry. That's the rule. It's the other way around is fine. So there's loads of stuff you can do with these guys. You can give it, slug skin, which means this and its unit is -1 to hit. -1 to hit is pretty nasty. Like, not -1 weapon skill, but -1 to hit is unbelievably nasty. You can give it a mutation which gives it an extra attack, which is, so you can give it slug skin. How much Beast Lord magic items up to 100. Mutations up to 50. Typically, you tend to find this in a unit with like a Battle Standard Bearer, and the Battle Standard Bearer has slug skin. And then the Minotaur Lord then has the extra attack rule, which is many limbed. There we go. Must be made using an ordinary hand weapon, and using an ordinary hand weapon is absolutely fine for a Minotaur Lord because where is he? He's strength 6 Doomball, which is pretty good already. It's also got Primal Fury, so it's re-rolling ones to hit, or it's re-rolling all hits. It's got Blood Greed, Blood Rage, blah blah blah. Foe Render, so when Primal Fury's on, he's AP 2. Does an impact hit, which is pretty good. It's got Gaze of the Gods, so it can upgrade itself. It's got Blood Greed, Blood Rage. Blood Rage is basically, I think you get +2 attacks for being frenzied rather than +1. So you're up to like 6, 8 attacks or something like that at AP 2, Strength 6. And you've not really spent any points to get there. This is just more or less basic. Absolutely brilliant. Absolutely fantastic characters. I can't rate them highly enough, I'm afraid. Warriors of Chaos. There's only really this lot, which is the Chaos Lord, Exalted, and Aspiring. Actually, this is a pretty good selection. Definitely A tier, if not S. Let's leave them A tier for now. They're better than elves. Actually, top of A tier, definitely. They're better than vampires as well. Oh, they can't heal themselves. Oh, they do. Oh, no, they're definitely top of A tier. So the reason why is they've got an inbuilt 5-up ward. That's what this Chaos Armor 5-up means. So they've got an inbuilt 5-up ward. They've already got magic attacks and -1 AP. They've got the Gaze of the Gods. They have a magic item called Favour of the Gods, which is only 5 points. You're allowed to take loads of them. And that allows you to re-roll those ones, so you're not stupid. You can give them a mark, which all have cool effects. The Exalted Champion can be the BSBs, so actually you can have a pretty decent BSB in a Champions of Chaos army. I mean, I tend to just go for Aspiring, but you could upgrade it and go Exalted. And if you look at that stat line's better than most other characters like Lords. The stat line's brilliant. For the points, I think it's quite cheap for everything that you get for it. The only downside is that it's only the Chaos Lord that has full plate. The other two can only have heavy armor, which is a bit annoying. I'd rather they all had full plate, to be honest. That would be, much better. Yeah, and obviously the Chaos Lord can take a Chaos Dragon, which is like the strongest thing in the game, I think, more or less. The other thing as well is that you've got Crown of Everlasting Conquest or something, whatever that magic item's Crown of Everlasting, yeah, Crown of Everlasting Conquest, which gives it regen 5. So you can essentially have a Chaos Lord, which has a 2-up save, a 5-up ward, and a 5-up regen, which is just absolutely nuts. And then you can put that on a dragon, which is just insane, really. So they are really, really good. They're possibly the best characters in the game. They've got to be S tier, haven't they? Have they? On a dragon, they're S tier. I don't know. They're not quite as good as Minotaur Lords on their own, and they're not quite as. And for the points, I think Britannia are definitely S tier because they're almost guaranteed. These aren't guaranteed to get their points back. They're like very likely to get their points back, but it's not. It's not almost guaranteed. I wouldn't be, almost certain of doing that. Cool. Oh, we forgot about the Branch Wraith. She's D tier. Not very good at all. Possibly, actually, she's just trash. Because Dryads aren't very good, and she doesn't really do anything to make the Dryads better. Right, and then we've got a series of green things, and then some named characters. So, let's do the series of green things, and then we'll go on to the named characters. Black Orc bosses, definite. They're up there. Black Orc boss is up there with the Chaos. Not as good as the Chaos Lord, but definitely up there with them. Got loads of cool abilities. Can put on a Wyvern. Absolutely great. The Goblin, the Orc boss is not as good. For starters, this one quells Impetuosity, which is great because a lot of greenskins have Impetuous. This has Impetuous, which is a serious weakness, and this one's 25 points more for like one more weapon skill, one more ballistic skill, one more initiative, one more leadership. So all of that is definitely worth the point. Orc bosses, I think, in comparison, they're trash. Because Black Orcs are so much better. The downside of Black Orcs, and the reason I'm not putting them in trash, I'm going to put them at the bottom of C, they're okay, is that you need to take a unit of Black Orcs for every Black Orc boss that you take. So, yeah. That's a weakness of Black Orcs, really. Goblin bosses, they're a cheap rallying cry, I think. So, what can take a Battle Standard Bearer? They're possibly a cheap Battle Standard Bearer. Orc, yeah, any Goblin boss. Single big... Oh, big boss. Okay, so they're all called big bosses. So the Goblin big boss can... So they can be a cheap BSB as well. Goblin bosses and Night Goblin bosses are okay, I think. They're not going to get their points back. Well, they're unlikely to get their points back per se, unless you give them like Walloper's One Hit Wonder or something. Walloper's One Hit Wonder is like this cool magic item. 15 points, which just makes them strength 10, AP 3, and strike first. Which, is pretty good. Especially if you've got like 4 attacks. Don't think there's any way of getting those attacks up, is there? These are pretty much they're just cheap. They're just a cheap rallying cry, really. So yeah, I guess they're okay. They're not good. They're okay. They probably sit around about here. Where's the Night Goblin one? They're probably about the same. Cool. And then let's do some named stuff. So let's start off with Duke What's-His Chops. Cecil Sir Cecil Gaston, the Worm Slayer. So this is is a baron who is kind of for an exiles list. So if you board a prince's Sir Cecil Gaston, you know, putting him in with a unit of knights on foot, that's kind of his job. He's got Sorrow's End, which has the Monster Slayer and multiple wounds, strength 5 AP1 magical attacks. He's got 4 attacks. He's pretty good. AP of any non-magical weapon used to attack him is reduced by 2. So, you know, despite the fact he's only got a 4-up save, actually, he basically ignores the AP of lances because this is pretty good. He's immune to Killing Blow and multiple wounds. And he has a 3-up ward against flaming attacks. All of which is pretty good. Like, if you compare him, you would pay that in points to upgrade a Baron to this. Now, whether you have the points spare to pay for this, like a character on foot, it's because he's on foot that makes him very difficult to rate. Like, he's okay. I've used this model because there isn't a model out yet, so I've used the derpy one. I think he's okay. He's at the top end of okay. In fact, no, he's good. Like, I'm looking at what else I've put in here, and yeah, he's good. He's probably there. He's probably towards the bottom end of good. Cool. And then the other Green Knight character, the other Bretonian combat character is the Green Knight. Now, the Green Knight is somewhere between S and A tier, and the reason for that is, A, he doesn't die. So your opponent doesn't score points for him. So you start the game 275 points up. The reason for that is that when he loses his last wound, he's removed from play, but he's not slain. Controlling player may attempt to awaken him again during any of their start of turn sub-phases in which he's not on the battlefield, using the Guardian of the Sacred Sites. Each time he's slain, he's weakened. -1 to the dice roll on attempt to awaken him, -1 to his wounds. Right? Can only win victory points if he's not on the battlefield at the end of the game. So, during any of your start of turn sub-phases, you roll a dice. On a 3-up, he awakens. So if he's died, that's a 4-up. If he's died twice, it's then a 5-up. So on a 3-up, he awakens. He may be placed completely within any natural terrain feature. Woods, difficult, dangerous, yada, yada, yada. He can teleport between natural terrain features. He can't be placed within 1 inch of an enemy unit, but he can still move. So if somebody's left a war machine near a wood, you can pop him up near the war machine, charge it. It's got a 5-up ward, which is just inbuilt and great. What else has he got? And he's got the Dolorous Blade, where either you get extra D6 attacks at strength 4. Extra D6 attacks at strength 4 AP1. Or you get strength 6, AP1, armor bane 1, multiple wounds. So, like, it's either turns into nearly a great weapon, but without striking last, or just an extra D6 attacks, which could put him up to 10. It could put him up to 10 if you roll a big 6. So the Dolorous Blade is quite good. He's got a 3-up inbuilt save. More importantly than anything, he's ethereal. So that means he can only be hurt by magical attacks. So you charge him into a war machine, or a wizard, or whatever. I suppose the wizard could have like an assailment, but still, initiative 6 with a charge, he's probably going to be going first, isn't he? And he causes terror, which you can put him next to a war machine, charge at the war machine, terror it off, and destroy it, and then he does something else. So he's got move through cover as well, which, you know, yes, it means he's not -1, but it does mean move through cover doesn't ignore the... So basically when you're making a charge, you roll 2 dice to take the highest, unless you're going through any kind of terrain, in which case you take the lowest. Move through cover doesn't get rid of that, so you still have to take the lowest, so it still slows you down a bit. But still, does he have... No, he doesn't have purebred steeds or whatever. He is unstable, so if he does lose a round of combat, so he's really good at like hunting, like I said, war machines, wizards, stuff like that. Being ethereal, is pretty useful. He's a single character anyway. He's a loner, so he can't join a unit. But I think all the utility it gives you, he's probably, I think, bottom of S tier. Maybe top of A tier. He's not as good as a Chaos Lord, I don't think. He's just that he's so different. But he can be really useful. But then again, if your opponent's like Chaos, he's not going to be that useful because his strengths are war machine hunting, and you don't really have any. And if you do, it's a Hell Cannon, and he's actually going to struggle against a Hell Cannon. So then we've got these horrible e-reader things that don't let me zoom in. Final three. We'll save the best till last. I quite like Cetra. Nekaf, Emissary of Cetra. It's an infantry character, so automatically not very good. Indomitable 2 is pretty good. He's got some pretty cool rules. Enemy units must roll an extra d6 when making fear or terror tests and discard the lowest. So, pardon me, they're more likely to... He's good in a big block of stuff. Pardon me, basically. And he's got a flail, which is all right. And he's got to issue and accept challenges. And he's just killing blow on a 5 or 6. So, again, he's good in a big block of infantry, fighting other blocks of infantry. But that doesn't really happen tremendously often. So... I just... Oh, no. I'll blow it. So I've got to wait half an hour for that to load again. But Nekaf, he's a bit meh. He's sort of okay. He's a good lad. Good down the pub. He's probably on par with a goblin. Oh, no, he's better than that. He's sort of over here somewhere. Yeah. Sort of on par with these two. Is he better than... No, he's not better than an assassin. I need to get rid of all them because I've looked at them. I'll keep the rule book just in case I need it. Then we've got Prince Apophis. Now, Prince Apophis is weird AF. It's like... So it's an ambushing... Scarab Prince that's a bit like the Green Knight, sort of. So it's an ambusher, it's got fly 9, it's good for coming on and killing war machines. It's got Usirian's Reaper. So after deployment, it's not clear here whether it's after you've deployed this character, because it might be deployed, it might not be deployed. It might be an ambusher. So it's not clear whether this one's or whatever, but if somebody's got like a wizard that they're hiding around the back, you can choose Osirian's Reaper, so you can re-roll failed hit and wound rolls against it, which is is pretty good. And it's got this breath weapon, which is always wounds on at least a 4, which is okay. Which is such a dumb rule because it's strength 2 anyway. Why not just put an asterisk there and say this always wounds on a 4? Because, like, how many toughness 1 things are there? I don't think there are any. So, like, this is such a redundant rule. Anyway, toughness 3 is not good, though. Toughness 3, light armor, 5-up regen. It's very flaky. And... its job is to hunt war machines, but conceivably war machine crews could kill it if it woofed. So I just think he's trash, I'm afraid. I just don't see it being any good at all. I just can't see... It's not ethereal, is it? Or something? No. It does cause terror, but like... Yeah. If your opponent's left their war machines in a position where they can be terrified, they've cocked up. So yeah, weird AF. And finally, Setrar, the Imperishable, the great king of Nehekara. The Imperishable, Khemri Kara, King of Kings, Opener of the Way, Wielder of the Divine Flame, Punisher of Nomads, the Great Unifier, Commander of the Golden Legion. All that, and many, many, many more. He's excellent. He's really good. He's very expensive, and actually he's not that much points. He's about 700 points, really, because you need to put him in a unit of about 6 chariots. So that's another 240 points. But the reason you do that is because he can do a rise, and he can do a rise. He's a level 1 wizard, and he has a rise, so he takes a leadership 10 at his leadership test at his leadership of 10, which is quite likely, and then resurrects a chariot a turn, which is very good. He's got just loads of cool stuff. He can use a rise when he's engaged in combat as well, so even if you're in combat with him, that doesn't turn that off. Setrar must always accept a challenge, apart from if Nekaf's about, in which case Nekaf must accept challenges on Setrar's behalf. Setrar is the general and the Hierophant, and he has a command range of 18. So, he's pretty good. Yes, he's flammable. He does 2d3 impact hits, but because he's a heavy chariot, strength 6, 2d3, that's better than d6. Better than d6. Yeah, it's better than d6. So it's not better than d6 plus 1, though. But he's got a heavy... What is it, though? I suppose statistically it's more likely that you're going to get 4. But whatever. But anyway, so 4, strength 6, AP 2, impact hits is great. He's got Indomitable 3, which is fantastic. And remember, that stacks in the unit. So if you can find a way of giving the unit Indomitable 2, then it all becomes Indomitable 5. As far as I understand how that stacks. He's got Regen 5, which is pretty good. Pretty standard for a team. Overlord, King, whatever. Chariot of the Gods, impact hits are flaming and magical. And this is where he gives them the rule that he can join a light chariot. This model may join a unit of Tomb... It's got to be Tomb Guard chariots. It's not Tomb... So he can't take the light chariots. My Will Be Done, which is the plus D3 move, plus D3 initiative, plus 1 weapon skill, affects all undead within 6 inches of him, not just the unit he has joined. So that can be pretty useful, but maybe not. I suppose like turn 1 plus D3 move, if you can do it in like an aura and get like most of your army, considering you're probably going to get a spell off giving you reserve move, that's pretty useful. And he's got a 5 at ward, of course. So what's his armor save? 4. So he's got a 4 up save, 5 at ward, 5 at regen, so pretty survivable. And he's got the Blessed Blade of Tra, which is strength is his strength. Well, his strength is... the chariot strength 5, sorry for impact hits. Setrar's strength 6, and this gives him AP 3. And an enemy model that suffers 1 or more on save wounds is -1 to hit for the remainder of the game, both shooting and in combat. So he gets a wound off on somebody, and now they're -1 to hit. So pretty decent in a challenge because he's, again, survivable. And of course, Arise, he can obviously heal himself with that. So if he's taken wound out of his 8, which is a load, it's just... and because of his 5 at wards and his 5 at regen, that effectively gives him, 18 wounds at a 4 up save that you're going to have to chew through. Plus he can, heal himself. So if he heals himself for 3... That's another 6 or 7. So he's like 20, 25 wounds, basically. He's really difficult to take down. And whilst you're taking him down, he's really going to hurt you because he's, 5 attacks, weapon skill 7, maybe 8, strength 6, AP 3, which is nasty. And Curse of the Necropolis. He's got the same curse. He's got that. Drive dust flammable. We talked about that. Talks about that. Talks about that. Yeah. And Cetra does not kneel. So he's absolutely fantastic. I think he's probably S tier, if I'm being honest. Actually, I need to reorder these. There we go. I'm happy with that. So I think, yeah, the best character in the game is probably a Doom Bull still. Just a random Doom Bull. Then Cetra. Then the Bretonnian Duke. Because of, not... If we put all these in a one-on-one, like as a knockout tournament sort of thing, obviously the Bretonnian Duke would not win it. Or would be really unlikely to win it. I just think that on the battlefield, in terms of him getting his points back and doing more damage on top, he's so good at that. Like, the 360 arc and everything, fantastic. Chaos Lords can, against a good opponent, they can struggle to get their points back. And that's true of all of these, actually. If you've got a good opponent, you're going to struggle to get your points back. I mean, you're likely to, but you're going to struggle to get more than your points, basically. These, you're going to struggle to get your points back, even against an average opponent. And these, your opponent's got to be pretty bad not to shut them down. These, it's like almost impossible, like, even if you roll well, to do much with them. Apart from that, but that is redundant because of other things in the list. So it's not trash because it's not very good. It's just trash because there's stuff that's so much better in the rest of the Tzeentch Demon roster. Cool. So that's all the characters tier ranked, as far as I can tell. I shall obviously have to update this soon when the dwarves come out. I can't wait for the dwarves to come out. Well, I can a little bit. I want to get my Khemri done first, and I'd like to get a 2K game with them done first. But anyway, thanks for listening. An hour and 20 this one. It's been a long one. I hope you're having... Oh, yeah, and if you're still watching, hopefully you could consider subscribing. And if you like the video, there is a button to express that particular emotion somewhere around. It looks a bit like a thumb up. So you can click thumb down. I don't think it makes any difference. It just makes me a bit sad. Anyway, see you soon. Toodaloo.